Hi, this is Average Person Things, and I am at AXPONA 2019. This is 10th year of AXPONA, and it's really exciting. There is so much good stuff out here. I have heard so many good speakers, and then like other components, headphones, and here I'm at SVS booth with like something really exciting. You know, they have their new speakers out, and then they have a couple of new not so new, but amplifiers, awesome amplifiers out. And here we have Nick with us. He will talk about his new products and how exciting they are, and how he will be really informative on where the applications are and people who are looking for these products, and what kind of applications that you're looking for versus which product that you're trying to buy. Please, Nick, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm Nick with SVS. We're here at AXPONA. Really excited launching our Prime Pinnacle tower speaker. It's our newest tower speaker that we've offered from SVS. This speaker fits right in between our two existing towers, the Prime Tower and the Ultra Tower. Now, what we were really trying to accomplish with the Prime Pinnacle is to have a speaker that was a little less polarizing than our Ultra Tower. Our Ultra Tower speaker, if you're familiar with it, has these dual opposing 8-inch woofers down at the bottom. It's this big trapezoidal shape, and what sort of makes it divisive is the fact that it likes a little bit of room to breathe to sound its best. You get those dual opposing 8-inch woofers firing in all directions. It really gives you a great low frequency experience, but they're a little bit difficult to place based on how large and how much they like to have space around them. With the Prime Pinnacle, what we tried to do is incorporate as much performance as we could from the Ultra series, which is why you see the mid-range driver has the similar materials and similar build to our Ultra series. It's actually the exact same quality as the Ultra series. And then we have 3 woofers. And by having 3 smaller woofers as opposed to the dual opposing 8-inch, we were able to fit it into a slimmer cabinet. And that's really something that we wanted to do, is create a more room-friendly tower speaker that approaches that reference level of the Ultra Tower, but that could fit more easily into each room. Now what we did with those woofers is we put them each in their own sealed sub-enclosures within the speaker cabinet. So that allows you to get the net sum of all the bass from 3 woofers with 3 unique port tuning frequencies that really gives you that sense of energy in a room. Whereas if we had just done the 2 woofers and put it in a single enclosure, you wouldn't get that same level of low frequency extension, which actually goes down to about 29 hertz, which is good for a tower speaker.
Is the performance like, you know, good enough that we don't need a subwoofer? Somebody's looking for, even for a movie, and for music, what do you think? Like, please tell separately, like for movie and music.
Sure. I mean, we are SVS, so if you want to add a subwoofer, then we're not going to complain. But the bass output of this speaker is very, very good. So you're certainly, if your listening habits, you don't like to really bump the bass at extreme levels, it'll absolutely be able to handle either an audiophile or a home theater setup. It'll have enough low frequency extension and output. But again, you know, some people just like to have that added emphasis. There is no replacing a subwoofer in terms of that, you know, true room shaking, you know, chest thumping bass. So you absolutely could pair it with one, and you still have a great experience.
Well, what if we are like, you know, still box audiophile people who are not looking for a chest thumping or room shaking experience? We put our subwoofers on spikes and then make sure it's like cleanest and it hits, but not like what movie lovers would like not to that level. Versus if I am a movie lover and I really want that, like, you know, earth shaking, explosion and a car chase to sound real. Like, you know, in the audiophile section, do you think I can like really pass a subwoofer and just like, you know, just be good enough with just the speaker?
Absolutely. I think there's sort of this mentality with subwoofers where a lot of people treat it or think of it as like a tractor pull, which is like how loud can it play and how low can it go. And those things are certainly important, but we look at it as a full spectrum of sound. And equally important to how low and how loud is transient speed. Can it stop and start on a dime? Because as an audiophile, you're listening to jazz, you're listening to classical, you're listening to all different kinds of music that can really challenge the low frequency performance of a subwoofer by having these quick, you know, pluck of a bass guitar string or the snap of a timpani drum. And you want that to sound as realistic as possible. And if you have a subwoofer that isn't able to recreate those transient speed of how quickly an instrument is resolving the musical note, then you're not going to have a true audiophile experience. So a sealed subwoofer subwoofers in particular do that really, really well. Our subwoofers are incredibly accurate in frequency response as well. You'll notice some lesser subwoofers, they'll either emphasize the mid bass, so you think you're getting more output than you really are, and then they drop off a cliff once you get under 24, 25 hertz. And what you lose is just a lot of information that is present in pipe organ music and some of the, a lot of the music that's being created today. So it's something that we take pride in is having our speakers be accurate, musical, blend seamlessly with any kind of speakers, that transient speed I was talking about, but still be able to shake the room and hit those infrasonic frequencies when you really need them.
I don't want to put any word in your mouth, but that's it. From your marketing standpoint and what I understand from the website, the reading of what these new speakers can do, you are probably targeting both an audiophile world and a moviegoer world. That said, if you are doing that, then people are playing every kind of music out there, every kind of movies. What kind of amplifier expectation you guys have? Something really strong? Because what if I'm coupling my Prima Lunas, which is really like low power, tube amplifiers? Would your speaker like that? Versus I'm putting something like a basic good amplifier like a Emotiva XPA2 Gen 3, like at 4 ohms they're like 550 watts per channel, if I am not mistaken. So what is your...
So with our speakers, they are very forgiving of the amplifier. And what we're running in here is just a Marantz AV receiver, and no special separates or anything like that. But the advantage, as everyone probably knows, is as you step up to more power and feed these 200 watts, they're really going to open up the sound stage. They're going to give you a lot more room-filling acoustics that just sort of make you actually feel what you're hearing as much as actually hearing it. And we recommend anywhere above 50 watts to really kind of allow them to sound good.
What is it right now?
As you move, right now, I believe they're running 100. Just 100 off the Marantz, which it's a small room. But again, if you're looking for a massive sound stage, or you have a really big room, they can handle the 200 watts of power and they'll really open up. But if you have a smaller, home theater, or it's a 2-channel system in a smaller room, then you're not going to need to feed it a lot of power. So it's a matter of sort of your individual scenario and your budget too. I mean, that comes into play too. But we try to create speakers that really are great for music listening, great for home theater, and it's all in the voicing.
It's like a one-size-fits-all.
Exactly, and the way we do that is during the voicing process, and the Pinnacles actually took more time to voice than any speaker we've ever made, because we wanted to get to that level of the Ultra. And what our process is you get it right on paper first. You go into the anechoic chamber, you get it perfectly flat, on a scientific level, you do all the testing and all the measuring, and then you bring it out into the real world, and that's when the artistry starts. That's when the science ends. And Smith Freeman, our lead designer, spent a ton of time in basements and massive home theater rooms, in tiny little dens, voicing the speaker for all these different rooms with action movies, EDM music, classical, jazz, whatever it is, so we can get a speaker that sounded great in any listening environment with any kind of music. And it's something that we really pride ourselves on. We don't want to be pigeonholed as like a home theater audio brand, and certainly with where we came from with the big subwoofers that we used to make, that's sort of what everyone thinks of SVS. Yeah, and so now we're just sort of blossoming out from there a bit and engaging the HiFi community here at AXPONA and some of these other shows, and it's been an awesome reception so far. I think people are really understanding what we're trying to do, and we're having a lot of fun while we're doing it.
It's really awesome. It sounds really awesome. Now, would you like to talk about the new subwoofers? As audiophile, I'm very interested in that, like 3000s and 4000 series.
Sure.
What are the specialties and which market are you targeting, and then what is the difference really between the 3000 and 4000? Who wants what?
Absolutely. So there's kind of a funny joke. We launched our 16 Ultras, which are our flagship reference, a couple of years ago. Then we did our 4000, which is one step down, and then just at the end of last year we did our 3000s. Now the joke is the 3000s are so good that they're now eating away at our 4000 sales, which is fine with us. Like, we're totally cool with that. But really what we were trying to go for with the 3000s is to get us as close to that ultra level of performance, but in a much more room-friendly cabinet size. So again, getting back to something that will fit in any living space and still provide that level of reference performance that you get with 16 Ultra. All of them have the Bluetooth app control, so that's something we're slowly bringing to all of our subwoofers, the 3000 included. But really, by having the different models with the ported PB4000 and then the PB3000, which is our first ported model with 2 ports on the front, and the sealed, we're trying to relate to people and narrow the delta between those 2 types of subwoofers. It used to be that people thought ported subwoofers are for home theater, sealed subwoofers are for music, and don't mess with that. We're really trying to narrow that gap to make our ported subwoofers much more musical, much more crisp, and transient speed, give you that accuracy without, the port shuffling and some of the things that
like the jarring effect that somebody would want in a room shaking explosion. We don't want that in our sound, like when we are playing music. So I used to close my ports if I'm playing any ported subwoofer. So do you think that you need to close ports or mess with ports in your 4000 and 3000, or it's just like good, leave it open the way you like it for movies as well as music, or you alter it?
Well, we provide the port plugs, we provide the custom tuning within the app to allow you to seal it, and frankly, I have a PB4000 at my house, and when I'm listening to some certain kinds of music, I like to run it in sealed mode, because you get a little bit, like I said, crisper, tighter speed transients, and things that appeal to certain types of music. Now, other kinds of music, I'm doing a live concert Blu-ray, for instance, I like to have a little bit of extra of that oomph, so I'll keep the ports open. So it's nice because you can use the app to switch between the custom tunings. There's really no effort to plug the ports. And I think there's really no rule. Like, people do it based on what their tastes are and what kind of content they're listening to. But it's not like there's a one-size-fits-all, like this is when you do it, this is when you don't.
Right. So, but then you're still making SP versus PB for every model, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So you're not making like one model so that you can manipulate that for audiophile and movie, and then we are not making anything else.
Correct. I will always recommend a sealed cabinet subwoofer for if you're a true audiophile, you do critical listening, you want to get complete accuracy, or you want to have that detail articulation. The sealed cabinet subwoofers is just going to do that better. Even a ported in sealed mode won't quite get you to that same level. So I would always recommend that rule as something that you should follow if you're trying to integrate a subwoofer into a high-end music system. Go with the sealed model. You're 99% of the time it's going to have it right.
And since what we were talking about just before this interview, that I have always wanted a SB16, but it's so huge that in my small room that I can listen to music, it just doesn't make sense to put that huge of a subwoofer. That was my problem. People who have huge spaces that they can mess around with, they can use those big subwoofers, no problem. But for me, 3000 is very interesting, right? Now, how big are we looking at 3000? Is it like 2000 SB2000 size, or is bigger than that?
It's about an inch larger on all sides than the SB2000.
Inch, so not too much.
No, it's a very compact form factor, especially given the output that it can create. It's an 800 watt RMS, 2500 watts peak, and that's conservatively rated. It's got a 13.5-inch driver, so the motor itself, weighs roughly 35, close to 40 pounds, so it's a massive motor within there. We've actually done something cool with the voice coil too. We have what's called a edge-wound, split-wind voice coil. And basically what that means is, a voice coil is essentially copper clad aluminum wrapped around a former, and that's what creates the magnetics to move the driver. Now what we did is on each end of that former, we wrapped it thicker. So when that subwoofer hits its max excursion levels, it's like impervious to distortion because you have so much extra magnetics at the poles, and also better linearity because there's not as much holding it back while it's moving from peak excursion X max to X mech. And it's really been a revelation to some of the people who are first customers. What they've said is like, I'm trying to get this thing to a point where it's distorting and like my ears are giving out before the subwoofer is, and it's like it sounds better the louder I turn it. Like I keep trying to turn it up so it's like gonna crack and distort or like cut off, and I can't do it. And it just sounds better the louder I turn it up, and the rest of my system quits before the subwoofer does. And that's a lot of that has to do with the voice coil design that we did.
So the SB16, it is, if I understand correctly, is like a previous generation of your subwoofer design than when you started designing SB4000s, and then came 3000. It's like new generation, the latest updated technologies. Now, if I'm buying, say I'm listening my music in a smaller room, and then I don't have too much space, so I'm resorting to SB3000 versus a SB16. What I'm missing out?
Well, in a smaller room, you might not be missing out on that much.
And smaller volume, audiophile listening.
Right. Really, I mean, the bigger subwoofers, they give you deeper low frequency extension because they have a bigger driver, they can move more air, and greater output. The sound quality from our 3000 to 4000 to 16 Ultra is going to be very, very similar, if not the same. It's just that few extra hertz of low frequency extension that you're giving up, so you can't quite hit like the 17 hertz, 15, you know, that level where it's like you're not even hearing it, you're just sort of feeling a rumble in your pant legs and in your chest. Like that's kind of what you're giving up. And then output, so like you wouldn't be able to play quite as loud, but you know, all of the qualities, the sound qualities in terms of the refinement and its accuracy, all of those things are going to be equivalent as you go up from model to model. So, you know, I would say in a small room you might not even need the 16 Ultra. Certainly, it's nice to have the reference model and to have the best that we make. But I would say any of our support team, if you called and told them the dimensions of your room and what you're looking at, they try to talk you down from that because it's you know, you're going to have wasted energy. You know, you're just never going to be able to hit its full performance capabilities. So that's, I mean, in general, what I would say in that regard. And then it also gets into the fact of, you know, if you're talking about room layout, a lot of times it's better if you have within a certain budget to go with two smaller subwoofers because you get more even bass response throughout the listening area. One single subwoofer in a big room, you got bass waves that are big long waves. There can be nulls, which are areas where there's sort of a suck out of the bass. By going dual, you have much more density of the sound waves within a room. So especially if you have a large seating area, you're going to just notice perfectly flat, even bass response no matter where you're sitting. And that's something that, again, we try to tell people is like, I have a really big room, this is my budget, what model should I go for? And we'll try to tell them, like, if you go with duals of the smaller version, you're going to have a better experience just in terms of the total coverage of the room.
That was my last question, actually. You know, one of those, I mean, I don't want to name any other brand because this is about SVS. Now, other have, they have a cabinet and then they fit two drivers in them. Now, I mean, I'm so much a fan of SVS and I've always been. Now, are you guys planning to make one of those like dual 3000s, but less than the price of two 3000s, you know, I mean, one cabinet, and then so that this thing is done and then we put it as a center channel speaker and then get done with it?
I can't give you all of our secrets now, but I will say we have certainly toyed with the idea of doing a subwoofer with multiple drivers. What I will also say is we're not going to go bigger than the 16 Ultra anytime soon. So that will be our reference subwoofer, the PV16 and the SB16. So if we do a dual subwoofer driver, it won't be bigger than that one. But certainly it's something that we're toying with, and no immediate thing to announce at this point. But certainly we're on to you.
Thank you, Nick, and it was very enlightening, and then we'll look forward to more of your products.
My pleasure. Thank you for interviewing me. Really appreciate it.